the claims that have been out there that he chickened out the prospect of going head-to-head against Kenya Kwanza's William Ruto, who actually skipped the 2017 debate, but now says Odinga pulled out to avoid a resounding humiliation. A story captured on page 12. But what could have been the guarantee that these two gentlemen, or better yet, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, would have been humiliated by Deputy President William Ruto? Let's all wait to see what plays out tonight. Also, we're expecting to see George Wajakoya face it off with Wahiga Mwaore on the first, session. And so it will be an interesting moment for the people of Kenya, just coming from what played out, that is on the 19th, and working to what was there, that is last week, in regards to also the debates that were very instrumental, the running mate debates, and it's now the final one on this 26th day of July as we await the general election. Another story right here, special report as to Rigathi Gachagua and the making of Mr. Moneybags, the fact that he has lots and lots of money and businesses going on, which he declared during the debate, is also one thing that many look into. But then again, as they would say, or as the report would dictate, he really does not come out to show the same. And we also have the Standard newspaper. Raila promises Boda Boda riders 1 billion shilling fund, a story captured on page 12. These are the promises that the politicians are giving to the people of Kenya. As to whether they will manage to keep the promises, or better yet, implement that which they present to the people, is a question of wait and see. On the other hand, Harare is not doing so well, and well, we do not know whether this then would be a step towards the right direction. Harare to use gold coins as currency, a story captured on page 27. We all understand the difficulties that Zimbabwe has been going through in terms of making sure that they are stable economically, especially after Robert Mugabe was ousted, and then the coming in of Mnangagwa, who is now the president, still not been able to manage to balance the question of the economy. And therefore we look at this and we get to understand whether it is a step towards the right direction, and importantly, whether then it gives them that economic emancipation and address the troubles that they've had with their currencies. 10 medals, hits and misses at Oregon sports, that is in the sports world, a story captured on page 38 and 39. We've also seen our very own, key figures down there making us proud, the likes of Emmanuel, bringing back this gold that was once, brought to us by the likes of Judicial, and therefore we appreciate what it is that they are doing up there in terms of making sure that they put the country at the top of the map. IEBC defense trio as Central Farm goes quiet, and Venezuela's saga continues as Chebukati claims deal with Smartmatic and its local agent, that is Seamless Limited, is above board, but the mother company is yet to come clean on the matter despite assurances. A story captured on page 4. And Chebukati says one of the conditions in the tender document was that the bidder should provide a detailed support and maintenance plan and attached document or documentary proof of ICT technical support staff with a registered office in Kenya. Smartmatic complied with this condition by providing a local partner, and that is the story captured on the front page, expounded right there inside the Standard newspaper. And as we look at this, of course, it's expounded on page 4. We know it's 13 days to the general election. Questions linger as to whether the IEBC then is set to take us to that special moment of the country, historic moment in terms of getting the next dispensation of leadership. Kenya gets about 7.5 billion loan to stabilize flour oil prices. African Development Bank comes to the rescue as the country struggles to maintain and contain skyrocketing cost of living, and also how critical it is for Kenyans to get food stuff. Today, plunged to death, country mourns 34 Nithi victims that we've also touched on. And now as we get out of this very story, I think those are the first ones, or those are the main ones that have been captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. Let's see what is there. Mostly it's education, and Magoha appoints new Q Chief Executive Officer, and that is Commission for University Education Executive Officer. Professor Mike Kuria is the new Chief Executive Officer of the Commission for University Education, taking over from Professor Mwenda Ntarangwi, and all the best to him as he takes up this mantle. Send-off of festivities begin as Uhuru's tenure at tail end, and at State House there was dinner on Sunday. He thanked the staff for their commitment and dedication to service in terms of making sure that his was a smooth reign, or in as much as it had a fair share of difficulties, their contribution appreciating. Those are the key stories that have been captured right there. Nothing much happening on the road, and we all understand how it is important that we are careful after that accident and the numerous other accidents that have been reported recently. It is important that we are careful as we use the roads. A quick glance of what is happening in Nairobi, and you can clearly tell there is no cause for alarm. I'm just trying to look at what direction would probably need our attention. Most probably you'd expect some tenets of traffic around Pangani shopping area or Pangani area as vehicles come from different parts, Juja Road, Kiambu Road, Thika Road, Limuru Road, all trying to get into the city. You expect some tenets of traffic on this other side. As you can see, Juja Road has some bits of traffic, and therefore if using that direction, you definitely expect that you would delay. As you go down to this side of the outer ring, you realize that around that, around abouts where you connect to Komarok and then to Juja Road from the outer ring road, there is a bit of traffic, or there is some bit of traffic there that would get you a little bit delayed. But down from the Thika Road, it's not looking all bad, and going all the way, that is on outer ring. Bits of places where you find pockets of traffic that would get you delayed, but not so bad. And this takes us down to around the airport road, which doesn't look so bad this morning. As you can see, the airport road is all smooth, a bit of traffic on different areas around this Embakasi area, but it's not quite alarming, and therefore people should not worry if using that direction. Before we take a look at what is happening on Mombasa Road, let's go back up here and see what is on Thika Road. And as you can evidently see, some places where you'd always find it notorious in terms of traffic, it does not look all bad. This is Githurai, from these areas of Kasarani down to the Garden City Mall and going all the way to Muthaiga and down to Pangani. It is all clean if you are taking Thika Road. Now let's go back to these areas and see what is happening around the Southern Bypass connecting to the Mombasa Road. The Southern Bypass, there's some places where you find tenets of traffic. This is so unlike the Southern Bypass, and therefore we've taken that direction. It's a bit of a delay, but not so bad. And on this other side, Mombasa Road always notorious with traffic, but this morning as well is not looking so bad from these areas of Imara Daima and down to these areas of Nyayo Stadium. It is not all alarming this morning, and that is to tell you that, well, then it's pretty much of an ease for a majority of people who will be using that direction. The Langata Road on this other side, tenets of traffic somewhere around there as you get to connect to Mbagathi Way, but it's not all that bad this morning. Let's get to see on these other sides whether there's anywhere else that would require our attention. Gong Road is not so bad this morning, tenets of traffic as always, but pretty much moving. And the Yaya Center area, Agwin Skodek Road, not looking so bad. Kikambala, as these areas of Kileleshwa, Dennis Street Road, not looking bad. The areas of Kileleshwa, Lavington, James Gishuru Road is all clean after you get to connect from these areas of the ABC. There is no cause for alarm. Same applies to Gitanga Road. Really no cause for alarm on this very moment. And down to this sides of ABC, and you take directions on the Waiyaki Way, there are pockets of traffic somewhere around the expressway, but it does not look so bad that it would get you worried. Red Hill is all clean. On this other side, the Northern Bypass is all rosy, as you can evidently see, and so there's really not so much that would get us a bit worried. Kangundo Road is not looking so good this morning. Pockets of traffic as you get to connect to these sides of the Eastern Bypass, but the Eastern Bypass as well is not as bad as it's commonly known to be. And so as you can clearly see, if you're taking the Eastern Bypass as well, you get some treats. It's a bit of a difference in comparison to what plays out on normal basis. Those are the key areas. As I've told you, Juja Road is not so good this morning, so you'd expect a bit of a delay if you're taking Juja Road. I guess it's the most notorious this morning, but all the same, not so bad to get you totally delayed. So we shelve what is happening on the road for a moment and take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines. And at least 35 people have died, with 10 survivors receiving treatment. And it's following the Sunday deadly crash of Mombasa bound bus belonging to the Modern Coast after the driver lost control of the vehicle and plunging into River Nithi in Tharaka Nithi County along the Meru-Nairobi highway. And rescue operations halted Sunday night, resumed Monday morning to rescue those trapped below the bus. As TV47's Moige William reports.
Rescue operations resumed Monday morning to remove those trapped under the bus or swept away by the water of Nithi River, as authorities make efforts to account for passengers of the ill-fated Mombasa-bound bus. As the rescue operations continued, members of the public keenly observed the process with shock, grief and disbelief expressed on their face.
Unajua ukiteremka kabisa, hata gari ikiwa na brakes, unajaribu kuimagine ikiachilia tu kidogo. Unaweza fanya nini? Uwezi enda hii side, uwezi enda hii side ingine.
Wakati barabara ilikuja hapa, ni watu wengi wamelose life. Wengi. Si watoto wale wazee, hata wadogo wamekupia hapa Nyiti branch.
Mili ya watu hapa ndio wasijui ni nini, bypass ipite tusaidie. Sasa vile tunaona miaka 2-3 kupoteza.
The Modern Coast bus on Sunday evening, traveling from Meru, veered off the road at the Nithi Bridge into the river 40 meters below. Already families, members of some of the deceased have visited the scene as the search continues.
Kuna wakati tulikuwa tumepitia hapo na my brother hapo, akaniambia hapo ndipo pana kuanga black spot. Wakati alikuwa na gari yake, lakini jana alipata na hiyo accident na akakufa bado. Nimeshamuona hapa kwa moja.
Kwa hakika hiyo ni masikitiko makubwa, lakini ni watu wengi, sio sisi peke yetu. Lakini ile kitu tunasema, ile Mungu amepanga hatuwezi zuia. Lakini hata na hivyo, hiyo mambo tunaomba serikali ijaribu kuturegeshia hiyo barabara kwa niaba ya Wameru wote na watu ya Tharaka Nithi na Kenya mzima, kwa sababu tumepoteza hata foreigners. Kwa hivyo hii barabara irekebishwe.
The scene of the accident is a notorious black spot along the Meru-Embu-Nairobi highway, which has previously claimed lives. In a previous incident, a matatu rolled at the same spot, claiming lives of 2.
All motorists using this road to exercise caution as they approach the Nithi Bridge, because this is a black spot and we have warning signs to show the motorist that this is a black spot.
According to the Eastern Regional Commissioner, preliminary investigations, the bus could have developed brake failure before crashing into the river. Rescue operations continue in search of 5 missing passengers, with plans to move the wreckage in case some of the missing people were trapped beneath it. Moige William, TV47.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta joined stakeholders at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi for media orientation and tour of the newly redeveloped National Monument and Museum. Beatrice Watare tells us more.
The museum, which is set to act as an archive of Kenya's history since 1800, includes a hall of legends which will showcase the lives of Kenya's legendary ancestors, including Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Mekatilili wa Menza, Koitalel Arap Samoei, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga na Bongo Mumia, among others. In his speech, President Kenyatta termed the museum as an indication of the history and culture of the nation, which encompasses both the good and the bad that the country has been through.
We shall celebrate the good. We shall see the bad as it was. It's part of our It's part of our history. We can't run away from it. And remember our ugly so that we hopefully shall never repeat our ugly again. So it will be the face of who we are, what we've been, what we've gone through. It'll also be the place that shall be the custodian of all our historical, our cultural artifacts, memorabilia of all sorts, a place where various audiovisual stories shall be.
The president added that it's a work in progress and will be available to the public and tourists as soon as it's in operation to help understand the cultures of the country.
I do believe that once this place is fully operational, it will host many thousands of visitors. It will help us identify our Kenyanness. It will help us identify our diversity, because we are diverse. But that's a beautiful thing also. It will help us be able to celebrate each other's cultures. It will help us be able to understand our different cultures a little bit more, and hopefully understand that it is a mix of all of these things that makes us Kenyan. That's what makes us Kenyan. And it is then from there that you get pride in being who you are.
The iconic Uhuru Gardens has hosted 2 National Day celebrations, that is Jamhuri on December 12th last year and Madaraka Day on June 1st this year, which were Uhuru's last national celebrations before leaving office after the next month's general election. Beatrice Watare, TV 47.
Thank you, Beatrice, for that. Now, Kenya Kwanza leaders have told the state to stop interfering with the operations of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC, terming it as recipe for chaos. The leaders singled out Directorate of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti, accusing him of playing to the gallery. The 3 Venezuelan nationals are set to appear before the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Tuesday for a fresh probe.
With 14 days left to next month's transitional general election, amid a standoff between detectives and the Electoral Commission IEBC, following the arrest of 3 foreign nationals from Venezuela last week, Kenya Kwanza Alliance leaders have once again come to the defense of IEBC, telling the government to stop interfering with the Commission's mandate, a move they said will jeopardize next month's highly staked poll.
Free and fair elections. Na mimi nataka Kinoti, tunataka Kibicho, tunataka wakina Matiangi, tunataka wakina Mucheru, wafahamu kwamba hii maneno mtindo wa wao kuingilia process ya election. Sisi tunaambia hawa jamaa wawache kuhujumu democracy. Wakicheza wakati tutapata ushindi, na sisi tutafungua inquiry kujua walikuwa wanafanya nini na pesa ya Kenya kujaribu kuhujumu demokrasia ya Kenya.
Police on Monday raided an office associated with Deputy President William Ruto in the city center after a weekend of verbal exchanges between Kenya Kwanza and their rivals Azimio, sparking fury from the alliance leaders who are now accusing Kinoti of playing to the gallery.
Jana tumeona Kinoti akifanya ukora, anaenda ofisi hata ya kinara wetu, na tunajua walikuwa na mpango ati ya kwenda ati wavuje boma ya William Ruto. Mimi nataka niambie Kinoti, kama nyinyi ni wanaume, muguze hata gate ya William Ruto.
Na tungetaka tumwambie huyu Kinoti DCI, huyu drama queen, afanye kazi yake ya polisi. Mambo ya uchaguzi hajui na hawezi elewa.
The 3 foreigners are expected to appear before the DCI for the second time on Tuesday, even as the saga continues to draw reactions on who exactly is speaking the truth between the DCI and IEBC. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati holds the 3 work for IEBC's Smartmatic International Holding local contractor, Seamless Limited.
the only glue that will hold the Republic of Kenya will be the chairman of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati. Uhuru ukianza kushikashika watu wa IEBC, you are now walking our republic on a very dangerous path.
Chebukati is however yet to state which operations of the election will be affected after police confiscated the electoral equipment held by the foreigners. Abul Kamal, TV47.
Now, Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga's road to State House received a major boost after the Border Safety Association and Muslim women leaders endorsed his bid for presidency. Odinga promised to make a government reforms once he assumes office to accommodate border riders and save them from the hands of corrupt police officers. Odinga's running mate, Martha Karua, also intensified Azimio La Umoja campaigns in Thika before wooing votes in Kajiado to consolidate their support ahead of the August 9th general election. Michael Gungu with the details.
As the clock ticks towards August 9th general election, Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga won't relent his vote hunting as he intensified his campaigns in Nairobi County Monday in an effort to popularize his bid ahead of the much anticipated polls. Odinga met the Border Safety Association at Nyayo Stadium, who declared their support to his presidency, urging his government to put forth measures to protect them from county askaris alleged to molest them at their line of duty.
Baba, sisi tuko tayari kureform, lakini county government ya Nairobi na askari wake hawataki hawa vijana wa reform. Kazi yao ni kushika hawa vijana na kuwanyang'anya pesa.
Nairobi tumekuomba baba, katika nomination utupatie at least watu watatu watuwakilishe pale City Hall.
In his 100 days in office, Odinga promised to make effective government reforms that will see police officers protect border riders. Speaking at the Nyayo National Stadium indoors arena in Nairobi Monday, Odinga pledged to ensure motorbikes confiscated by the city inspectorate are returned to their respective operators.
So it is the system that we are going to change. We are going to reform the system to convert a police force into a police service for the people of Kenya. Mutahesabu siku 100 kutoka kuanza siku hiyo. 100 days of Baba's government. Yale reforms zote tutafanya. That reforming of the police service, police force, police service will take 100 days.
Zile bodaboda ambao zimeshikwa tutawasiliana na Junet tuone IG of police kama zinaweza atiliwa before election.
Later on, Odinga met Muslim women leaders at KICC Nairobi. He defended the current constitution on Kadhi courts, saying the course has never contradicted Christians.
Kadhi's court has always been in the constitution. It has never harmed any Christians. Our constitution was actually based on Christian law. So you don't necessarily have to come up with a Christian code, because it's already inbuilt in the constitution.
More than 1,000 Muslim women leaders from across the country threw their weight behind Odinga, insisting that the former premier stood with them and cared for their well-being of the religious leaders.
Muslim women, again, the maternal mortality is high among our community. Devolution and its fruits are yet to impact on Muslim women. Muslim women, and my sister said, need very contextualized policy.
Meanwhile, the Mau Mau Governing Council of Elders endorsed the joint Azimio La Umoja One Kenya presidential ticket, binding Raila Odinga and Martha Karua in the State House race.
The charm offensive has earned a lot of votes for Azimio. If you look at the latest statistics, really, a place that was our opposition stronghold, we are actually now splitting it.
In a ceremony organized by NAC Kenya and the Mau Mau Council of Elders held in Kiambu County, the elders pledged to campaign for Raila and Martha Karua in the vote-rich Mount Kenya region as the campaigns enter homestretch.
Na tukipambana na ufisadi, utajiri wa nchi yetu
utatumika kufaidi wananchi wote na sio kutajirisha wachache.
The endorsement by the Mau Mau Governing Council of Elders is a major win for the Raila Odinga Karua ticket in the region that is largely divided. Karua later on intensified Azimio La Umoja campaigns in Kajiado to consolidate their support before August 9th general election. With barely 14 days to August 9th general election, both Kenya Kwanza Alliance and Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition are seeking for a better way to accommodate all lobby groups across the country in a bid to consolidate enough votes on behalf of them to win election. Mike Kagwango, TV 47 at KICC, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. Now, meanwhile, Deputy President William Ruto led the Kenya Kwanza campaigns in his political backyard of Nandi County. Ruto, who was accompanied by leaders drawn from Rift Valley, said Kenya Kwanza is a solution for Kenyans' well-being if elected as the 5th president during the August 9th general election. Joash Onsari reports.
In just 14 days to the August 9th general election, a section of Kenya Kwanza Brigade pitched tent in various counties in Rift Valley region. Led by Deputy President William Ruto, the Rift Valley team made stopovers in Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties.
Our competitors have no plan, they have no agenda, they have no ideas on how to take Kenya forward.
Ruto, addressing the residents in the region, called on Azimio La Umoja flag bearer Raila Odinga to avail himself for the presidential debate to respond to some concerns allegedly raised by Kenyans.
Wewe kuja kwa debate, mimi nakungojea kwa debate kwa sababu Wakenya wanataka kujua hii tibi mnatialala ni kitu gani. Wakenya wanataka kujua hizi hadithi zako za hekaya ya Bunwasi ni kitu gani. Hata kama huna sera, hata kama huna mpango, at least ukuje utueleze maana ya tibim na maana ya tialala.
Mimi kwa timu yetu ya Kenya Kwanza, kila mtu wamekubaliana ya kwamba Sudi aende afanye debate na mzee wa kuzimia.
Na tunajua Tinga amesusia debate kwa sababu hata hana mpango ya Kenya. Ukimuuliza hapa Nandi Hills watu wanataka nini? Yeah? Hajielewi. Onalala.
The second in command was accompanied by various leaders, promised to grow the economy and ensure security for all Kenyans if elected in the August general election.
We are going to make sure that we have a hustler fund that will make it possible for ordinary entrepreneurs in the micro and small enterprise space to access credit so that they too can be able to build their enterprises na kila Mkenya aweze kuwa na biashara yake imeinuka, ndio tuende mbele pamoja.
Watu wa Rift Valley hapa tunasema sisi ni wapenda amani, na kama wakulima tumeingia Kenya Kwanza tukijua ya kwamba bei ya fertilizer itapunguzwa na kwamba bei ya mazao yetu itaenda juu.
As the countdown continues, Ruto and Kenya Kwanza Brigade have called on President Kenyatta to keep off politics for a peaceful nation after the August polls.
Tunaomba Uhuru Kenyatta kitu moja. Tunajua kwa ile Jubilee ya zamani kura moja tumepoteza peke yake ni ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Hata ya Margaret Kenyatta iko na sisi. Shida yenye tunataka kumwambia Rais Uhuru, kama umeona project yako haiwezi fika mahali, usijaribu kufanya kazi ya kupiganisha Wakenya.
Nimekuja kuambia ya kwamba hakuna Mluya ako nyuma ya mzee ya Mtendawili. Waluya wote wako kwa Kenya Kwanza na tuko nyuma ya William Samoei Ruto.
Mutatupatia kura yenu bila kupoteza hata moja. Ule mzee wa Kitendawili atoke hata bila kura ya agent. Na pili mtapatia William Ruto jeshi ya kufanya kazi.
Joash Onsare, TV47.
And a constitutional court has dismissed 2 petitions seeking to compel President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint 6 judges who were among the 41 judges recommended by the Judicial Service Commission for appointment. In their statement or in their judgment, a 3-judge bench consisting of Justice George Duru, Justice William Musyoka and Justice James Wakiaga said that the petition lodged by Adrian Kamotho Njenga and Dr. Magare Vikenyi has been overtaken by events since a similar court has issued a similar order in the year 2020 compelling the president to appoint the 6 judges. In 2021, a case was filed by the Katiba Institute against the head of state, where the High Court gave the president 14 days to appoint the 6.
On behalf of the public, to condemn the petitioner to pay costs would not be in the best interest of advancing constitutionalism, and therefore let each party bear their own costs.
Matter was mentioned for compliance and directions on the 8th of February 2020 when the respondent raised an issue on stay of proceedings in view of the pending appeal at the Court of Appeal, and directions were given for filing and service of a formal application for stay of proceedings together with written submissions on it, and for filing of a response to it together with written submissions.
The Presidential Debate Secretariat insists the 2 of the 6 debates slated for today will still go on even after Azimio's Raila Odinga threatened to boycott. At least 24 diplomats have confirmed attendance. The story was produced by Andrew Juma.
The much anticipated presidential debate is set for Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. The last 2 of 6 debates are set to bring together all the 4 presidential candidates. According to the Presidential Debate Secretariat, Agano Party's David Mwaure and Roots Party Professor George Ojakoya will face off in the first debate, while Azimio's Raila Odinga and Kenya Kwanza's William Ruto in the second debate, set to kick off at 8 p.m. However, Odinga has threatened to boycott the debate, saying he cannot stand in one podium with Ruto. Azimio La Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga, through his secretariat, said he will not attend the debate. In a letter released to the public, the Secretariat says traditionally the televised debates provides an opportunity for the public to listen to leaders and make an informed opinion during elections. The Debate Secretariat alleges that this year's debate is structured with opposing candidates, which the Raila Odinga Secretariat says it is a bad idea. Further, the letter states that Odinga has repute and will not share the stage with his main opponent, Deputy President William Ruto, calling on the Presidential Debate Secretariat to focus on corruption, integrity, ethics and governance, failure to which he won't attend. Instead, the Odinga Secretariat will plan for a televised town hall debate at Jericho Social Hall in Nairobi's Eastlands, with ordinary Kenyans to offer solutions to challenges faced by common Kenyans. At least 24 international diplomats have already confirmed to attend the debate. They include Algeria, Argentina, Australia, DRC Congo, Costa Rica, Ethiopia, Finland, Germany, Jordan, Korea, Malaysia and Netherlands. Others are Portugal, Qatar, Romania, AKDN, Senegal, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, USA and the United Nations Development System. Roots Party presidential hopeful George Ojakoya has also threatened to boycott the debate if he is not allowed to debate Raila and Ruto. However, the Secretariat insists on 2 tiers, with candidates who have garnered less than 5% popularity rating in one podium, while those above 5% will be on one podium.
Our competitors don't have a plan. They don't have an agenda. That is why they cannot articulate any agenda, because they don't have one.
And We'll all be there looking forward to have 100% attendance now. The National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, has stopped operations of Modern Coast Express Limited following an accident that happened in Tharaka Nithi County Sunday, claiming at least 35 lives. The development comes at a time when the wife of the ill-fated bus claims that the husband was always complaining of the poor condition of the bus, as Sharon Baranga reports.
Early Monday morning, Beatrice Wakodhie was accompanied by family and friends to the offices of Modern Coast Express Limited in Mombasa. They were here for information of the whereabouts of her husband Paul Kamau, who works as a driver in the company. Beatrice says her husband always complained of the poor condition of the bus, which was involved in an accident at Nithi Bridge in Tharaka Nithi County on Sunday. More than 30 people lost their lives and others sustained injuries.
Bwanangu kama wiki mbili hivi wiki tatu alikuwa analia, hiyo gari anaendesha ni mbovu. Akifika tu ananiambia mama masi gari ni mbovu, mama masi gari ni mbovu. Akifika tu hata harali anaondoka anaenda garage na hiyo gari. Anasema gari breki inaferi mpaka sasa kufa kwake sasa.
Juzi wakati alikuja aliniambia gari imeharibika kwa barabara wakitoka Nairobi. Na akakuja akaniambia ameambiwa atabadilishiwa gari. Lakini hakubadilishiwa gari. Hiyo gari ilipelekwa garage na akarudi nayo Nairobi. That is on Thursday.
Friday evening was the last day Kamau's family spoke with him.
Akaongea na mtoto wake, wakaagana atamtumia pesa kwa simu. Kutoka hiyo time tu kuongea naye tena mpaka wa leo. Nikipiga simu yake iko mteja. Sasa ndio usiku nikapigiwa simu na watu, nikaambiwa kuna gari imeanguka Meru na inasemekana ilikuwa na msee Simba. Ni kweli? Nikamwambia sijui sababu sijasikia.
Kamau's family is now concerned whether they will receive a compensation from the ill-fated bus company. Kamau had worked for Modern Coast for 2 years.
Bwanangu aliajiriwa huku 2018 akafanya, ni corona ikaingia. Corona kuingia si walisimamishwa kazi. Kusimamishwa kazi hapo mbeleni ndio ni corona iingia. Hapo mbeleni walikaa muda mrefu sana hawajawahi lipwa mshahara. Vile kazi ilirudi akaendelea kufanya mbando hawalipi mshahara. Hata hii miezi mitatu tunaongelelea kutoka mwezi wa pili mpaka leo hajawahi lipwa mshahara. Anakuja kwa nyumba hata hana hata 100 na mtu amelala kazi, ameshinda kazi na anakuja kwa nyumba hana kitu. Sasa amekufa hivi hana kazi na hana pesa. Ameniachia watoto hivyo sijui nitawapatia nini.
Wako na miaka 2 hawajalipwa salary tangu wakati wa corona. Tumeambiwa walikuwa wanapewa allowance tu peke yake, wakiambiwa watalipwa pesa yao. Hatujaweza kupata habari kamili kutoka kwa management vile compensation yake vile itafanyika na vile watasaidia familia.
Meanwhile, the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, has stopped operations of Modern Coast Express Limited as a thorough multi-agency investigation into the crash and an evaluation of the operator's safety standards is underway. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Thank you, Sharon, for that. Quite unfortunate event. But then again, developing story. We'll be here to keep you up to tabs as and when they get to hit the desk. I have 3 gentlemen in studio this morning. Already having 2 on standby as we get to a conversation that will be instrumental to us understanding what plays out, in the country at this very hour where we're talking about the general election. And so as we get to this conversation, we want to remind you that it's important you interact with us. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela. At CV47KE22047 is the SMS short code, and we get to sample some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. So make sure that you interact with us. So far, we already have some messages trickling in, and I'll be sampling them later. But in studio already is Philip Kisia, governance, leadership, and management expert. We also have Muregi Kamande, who's a constitutional lawyer, and in the center, or at the center, we have James Gakuya, Member of Parliament of Embakasi North. And these gentlemen are the ones who are going to help me decipher these conversations of politics as we expound them further. Also take a look at what the newspapers detail as we take this to another level. So once again, we welcome you to be part of this conversation. But before we get to loop them in, allow us to take a quick short break and then we'll come back with that.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku maishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not to just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is the grind. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot.
So I decided, let me just take this up, put the teaching on hold first. Let me try see where
also
this can go.
Seeking to secure the same position. And lastly, we have governance and leadership, or governance leadership and management expert. That is Philip Kisia, also former town clerk of Nairobi. Thank you so much for creating time, sir. And gentlemen, asanteni sana also for creating time. It is the conversation on the debate, but above everything, what is happening on our roads, what is happening currently in the country. And I think we need to have some of these matters addressed. A majority of drivers in different companies will tell you that, they have been forced to work on conditions that are not so rosy with unroadworthy vehicles in the name of looking into the interest of entities. If what it is the wife of the driver whose bus collapsed into Nithi River or Nithi Bridge is saying the truth, then perhaps we could attest to this. I don't know whether you've worked in institutions where you get to experience the same wakili. Yes. But when you hear such allegations coming out at this very last hour, it must break your heart. It must tell us that there's so much that we need to do. It must tell us that, perhaps there are very many people who are not doing what is right and they still get away with it.
That's very true. It's quite unfortunate and heartbreaking. And my condolences goes to the families of, I think that right now there are 34 who perished in that Nithi Bridge incident. And I listened to the wife of the driver, and I would give her the benefit of doubt that indeed the husband had disclosed that the vehicle had mechanical problems. But I think it's a wider problem about public service vehicles in this country. It's not just about unroadworthy vehicles, it's also about indecency on our roads, complacency on the part of police officers. And then at the same time, the conspiracy, simply because the police officers are being bribed to just look the other side when these things are happening. And also, I think NTSA also needs to come clean. I know that vehicles are supposed to go for inspection regularly. So we do not know, especially PSVs, before you are issued with the license, you have to go for inspection. So we do not know whether these vehicles were inspected and the conditions under which this particular vehicle was. And it is not just this vehicle. If you go to any of our highways, on our roads, there are very many unroadworthy vehicles that are plying those routes. And I recently, there were regulations that were passed by Parliament on inspection of private vehicles. And I do not know whether by the time we get there, NTSA will have the capacity to do that, or it will be another avenue for corruption. So I think NTSA needs to come clean. The revocation of the licenses of Modern Coast, it's I don't know what the implication would be, but I don't think it's a step enough. It's not action enough for us to discourage this kind of things.
Right.
Yes, but also noting that it is not just about public service vehicles, because these owners are private individuals. We also need to ask ourselves, if I'm an owner of a PSV, am I concerned just about profits, or am I concerned about also the lives of my workers? That's the driver, maybe the tout, and also the people who use those vehicles. So I think it's a collection responsibility, and we all need to step up as a people.
Yes, Mheshimiwa, employee welfare, and as well, knowing very well that you've sat in Parliament where some of these bills have been passed, some of them, we hope to see they are passed, or some of them hope to see that people would come, or at least members of Parliament would come up with bills that would address these discrepancies or these troubles that we witness at the level of the roads. But at the heart of it as well is the question of employment. At the heart of it as well is the question of the fact that, a man will not just come back home and stay and say that I am unemployed, and therefore they would rather go and work with this entity really that does not accord them, you know, that which would be good enough to keep them going. If again, what it is that the wife says is anything to go by, you can imagine a scenario where you're working all this while without pay, and even worse, you know, the equipments or the things that you're actually working with are not in the best of shape. What does it speak about the situation in the country? Just how dire is it that you'd rather put up a brave face, wake up in the morning, get to the office, really not making anything, and still endangering your life, but you have to soldier on?
Leader, allow me first to salute the viewers wherever they are watching us from. And coming to that crazy matter of road carnage, it is very unfortunate that we have now lost a single strike of 34 lives. This is very critical indeed. And take into consideration that just catching up from what we are getting from those who are from that nearby areas and families and friends. It's like this particular driver has been mentioning that at least the vehicle he's driving is faulty, and there was a serious case of brakes. And I can tell you, if you are a driver, a vehicle without brakes is as good as a cat, because there's no way you can be able to stop any carnage, because it is the brakes that stops any intended kind of accident or so. So it's a very serious case. And I have also read yesterday's paper that a lady from Kitale to Mombasa almost borrowed whistle or another vehicle, another company's bus that was also riding to Mombasa with that kind of serious case of headlights and also serious case of brakes. I would say that in fact, if you want to keep the customers in your bus and retain them to Mombasa. Mombasa is not a short distance, it's a long distance, which accounts not less than 500 kilometers from Nairobi. Maybe from Meru to Mombasa is almost equivalent to 600 or 7. It's a long distance. And taking such kind of nasty risk of driving a bus in a faulty brake, it's a very serious mess. What I would just condemn the driver himself, number one, because even though it is life and death to seek for a job, you don't require to take such a risk of others' lives, including yourself, because of what we call employment. I think you better stay at home and do other business. Or you better even assist if you are not earning anything. If what the wife is confessing is something to go by, you better not be in that particular job where you are earning zero. Because actually, what the wife is saying is that for the rest of 6 months, he has earned nothing. He has come home with nothing. So, what is the importance of being in that particular business or that particular employment if really your family, yourself, is not getting anything out of that business or out of that employment? Number two, I would blame the management of the bus. Because one, it is very critical to have unloadworthy buses on the road. If really you know that actually you are dealing with what call lives of the people, it is a duty and prerogative of that management to make sure that all your trucks or all your buses are roadworthy. Yes, and this one does not mean that even though the vehicle has no expiry of this of what we call inspection, brakes does not require inspection, because brakes is something that can break tomorrow. You can be inspected today, get a sticker, but tomorrow you can have a failure of the brakes. So it is something that you should go when your driver reports such kind of case. Just make sure that the bus is stopped and well taken care of, so that at least it can be able to move on with the load. This is only what I can say, leader. It's a carelessness of the management and also the driver was also careless. Because how can you move out a bus that you are very sure that the brakes are faulty? Why do you risk such a kind of big risk?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Well,
it's
is unfortunate, Mheshimiwa. I know so much has been said, but then again, the situation is perhaps dire than what we actually say.
Well, Linda, thank you for having me once again, and I'm glad to meet my former councillor, who I've not seen for quite some time, and of course, Wakili here. Condolences, first of all, to the families who have lost their lives and dear ones.
Yeah.
I mean, losing in one shot 34 human beings is a serious calamity. It's not a joke. I mean, in other jurisdictions where people are civilized, a number of heads should have rolled by now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that no head has. Yet we've lost lives of Kenyans. So I'm with them in this time of grieving, and may the Lord rest the souls of those who have departed. Now, I think again, to join my colleagues here, let me just emphasize one or two things. Number one is the issue of the culture of greed. That most of the business people in this country are driven purely by profit. So they don't care what happens to you.
Yeah.
They don't care what happens to me. So long as they're making profits. So we're profit motivated. And we don't care how that money is made. Okay. So I'm glad that the Gakuya is here and is a member of parliament and has been there for 2 terms. I'm sure they've made necessary laws that would ensure that such a behavior is really curbed. But anyway, he's here to explain himself so that the voters can give him a 3rd term.
Yeah.
But again, as they have said, the biggest challenge, I think, is the issue of manpower and enforcing the laws that we have. Because the laws are there. Yeah, the laws governing the Employment Act are there. And even if the laws were not there, the people who have been given that job of driving motor vehicles, whatever it may be, operating equipment, are human beings.
That's true.
Okay? And they need rest. So those who are operating these public transport vehicles should put that into account, that you are dealing with human beings and they cannot work beyond a certain limit. So don't push them beyond that limit, because then you can create, as Gakuya said, you can create even bigger problems. So the issue of just looking at the laws, what do the labor laws say about the work environment? The other thing is, of course, again, if it is really true that Kenyans have become so desperate to the point that somebody can work for 6 months without pay, it gives a very gloomy picture. Okay, if it is indeed true that you can actually say, okay, fine, let me just put in 6 months of no pay, and one day maybe I'll be paid. And Gakuya is here. Gakuya is lucky that even if they don't work, members of parliament are paid.
To do.
They don't have performance measurements, and getting rid of member of parliament is almost impossible. You only get rid of him on the ballot after 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the factors. But finally, the law enforcement agencies. Law enforcement agencies. Many years when some of us were growing up, a law enforcement agent would just stop your vehicle. We do not have this NTSA.
Yeah.
Okay? But a law enforcement would stop your motor vehicle, get in, and ask you to drive a kilometer and ask you to brake, just to confirm that the brakes are working.
Oh, all right.
Come and check on the motor vehicle. Check on whether the vehicle is smoking. Now, those are basic things that are not, they don't need any science. They don't need any management, but they need a community, a society that is committed to ensuring that we operate within the law. So I think I mean, going forward, I know we're facing challenges. We may sit here because we can afford to drive in air-conditioned vehicles, courtesy of the public, taxpayer, at least some of us. But I think we really need to be serious on some of the issues that we've discussed. Law enforcement, the issues of labor laws, abiding with them, and those operating the vehicles should know, public service vehicles, or any type of business, you should know that if the customer you're serving is not there, then your business will stop to exist.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, well put, and we hope that, yes, like we say, the measures that have been taken, perhaps we might need some more to be done, so we cap this in totality. But then again, sometimes they say that ajali haina kinga, but in this case, something could have been done. So we shelve this one for a moment. Do we want to talk about the Venezuelans? Because it's getting a little bit complicated, yeah? Okay. And now the IEBC comes out to say that, well, one of the reasons why they had to, one of the requirements to work with, or to have a company tender to work with them in this moment was to make sure that, at least they had some roots, or at least they had some connections in terms of their operations in the country, and therefore Smartmatic, had its local agent in the country, that is Seamless Limited, and that is, of course, is above board. But again, what we see today with the Venezuelans from Friday, should have been from Friday?
Yes.
Yes, last week, Friday evening, is something that gets us asking lots of questions. And the defense aspect that comes from, a certain political side then raises questions as to whether then these things are actually being done in favor of them. Are we reading so much into the coming in of the Venezuelans? Do you see the hand of the state in terms of trying to perhaps coerce IEBC to work in a certain way?
I don't think IEBC is being coerced to work in a certain way, and I will address this issue as a lawyer. And one thing is that IEBC is a state body. It is governed by the Constitution. It is bound by the Constitution. And under Article 10, there are values for this nation, right? And one of them is openness. What we've seen is that IEBC has, and let me say Chebukati. Chebukati has been either operating in a very opaque manner or in a very reckless manner. I would say those two, reckless and opaque. Because one thing, there have been calls for him to come clear on so many issues. And one of them is on this issue about the 3 Venezuelans. I saw the statement that they released. We are back to the issuance of statements at 2 a.m. I saw the statement that was issued by IEBC at 2 a.m. and which forms, I think, the headline of the Standard. And my question is one, the positions that were taken by both the DCI and the IEBC between Friday and Sunday, were they necessary? That's what was one of the questions. 2, what was so hard with IEBC, for example, informing the security agencies that we expect certain election materials and these are the protocols that are supposed to be followed for them to be delivered? You cannot just tell us that they are non-strategic election materials. That does not make sense. Any election material is an election material. It's a critical material. If it wasn't critical, then go and print those stickers at River Road. You don't have to bring all those stickers away, I don't know, from Panama, pass all the way to Turkey and bring them to Kenya. And then the other question you ask yourself, why only for certain areas? And I can tell you, if you look at those stickers and the way they were deployed for this, or the way they were printed for this particular situation, it is a pattern. It is not just out of the blues that you have stickers from particular regions, and a particular number of a number of polling stations. The number 10,000, and I'll tell you why that number 10,000 is so critical. Because there has been talk about these 10,000 polling stations that IEBC has not even come clear about. Yeah, and some of them are even rumored to be within these counties that are being mentioned here. So these questions have to, you see, these issues have to raise questions. And the moment those questions are raised, IEBC is not, even if IEBC is an independent organ, an independent commission. It is part of the larger state. And what that people do not realize is that IEBC will not, for example, go into these elections without providing security. Who will provide security to this election material? It is the same security apparatus that he's operating with. So all in all, and I'm saying this, that Chebukati, his fellow 2 other commissioners, whom we cannot name here, yeah, they should not think that IEBC is a personal property. This is a national election that we are dealing with. Yeah, if decisions are going to be made, we believe that IEBC decisions have to be collegiate. Yeah, we do not want to hear rumors that there are some that there are some conflicts ongoing in that commission. Yeah, tell me the last time you saw Chebukati parading all his commissioners to issue a press conference. It has become it's a press release. You release them at 2 a.m. in the morning. So we need to know exactly what is happening within IEBC. Chebukati needs to come clean. If there are any issues with these 3 Venezuelans, let them be deported.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, you have seen the side of Kenya Kwanza castigating first the DCI for this approach, as well saying that the state should not get itself involved in the activities of the IEBC. IEBC has a sole mandate of delivering a free and fair process for the people of Kenya, yet there appears to be the hand of the state trying to twist them into a certain direction. Do you agree to that, or some of these concerns that are being raised are really valid enough for us to address?
Linda, the big question is how and the manner in which our security bodies are handling issues. First and foremost, I would like to answer myself and the public. What was the relationship between the IEBC, Venezuelans, and the turning office that was purported to be Deputy President turning office at Transition House?
Okay.
Number 2, where does the DCI got powers from to break into somebody's office without even a court order? Where does he invested these powers from? Because legally, he cannot purport to break offices or houses of the of particular people without court orders. And 2 fools cannot make any direction. So you cannot tell me that because IEBC had a simple mistake, then you must also put in place such kind of darkness in your element of investigation. Number 2, DCI is in record purporting that even these Venezuelans had expired passports. Where have we seen them? He should display these passports which are expired to the public, so that we can also have a confidence in his investigation.
Okay.
But the way and manner he has this matter, it is totally questionable.
Okay.
And nobody can be able to trust his investigation.
Right.
Number 2, it is very questionable that, yes, if you need that here is some dots, and Chebukati came out that particular day, and he defended the Venezuelan, and he said, these were our materials. Then number 2, what else did you expect to get? Or what other information did you want to get? But you still want to show Kenyans their hidden agenda, issuing a statement which was almost 8 pages, trying to taint the image of the IEBC, trying to tell us the IEBC incompetence. This is a very...
Who is business with the DCI to do that?
To be judging the IEBC in that manner?
You do not know who the DCI is, Mheshimiwa?
Our security bodies are also part of these particular elections.
Yes.
But nobody should be seen trying to force himself as if he's the king on this particular
What business, Honorable Philip Kisia, what business would the DCI have to try and taint the image of the IEBC at this crucial moment, whereas, well, we look up to them to guarantee us the aspect of security in this very important process?
You see, I like the enthusiasm in which Mheshimiwa Gakuya has addressed that matter, but facts remain facts. Okay, facts are facts.
These facts, he says, they have not said.
Even before I talk about, because I don't want to respond to him, but facts remain facts. You can't change facts. But let me probably advise, or just put in a word to my very worthy friends on the other side, and more specifically, my very good friend, His Excellency the Deputy President of this Republic, William Ruto, that at that level, you do not castigate a public officer. If you have any issues, there are channels in which these matters can be raised. So getting into a public fora and talking the manner that he talked was, mischievous, and it doesn't, fit his stature. The person that we are talking about, the DCI, is a Kenyan, and I can tell you
that's actually an office. It's not about Kinoti.
I can actually tell you the person is well known to some of us. The man is competent. His level of integrity cannot be questioned. I'm privy to information that this man that we are now castigating because of being firm, not now, he has been in the service for more than 20, 25, going to 30 years. Because of being firm, this man almost lost his life in the course of duty, but just being firm and saying, I would rather die than do the wrong thing. So, let's not talk about personalities, but let's talk about issues. Does he have credibility? Yes. He carried out some investigation. I've also seen the letter that was written at 2 a.m. I don't even know who typed for him. Maybe he has secretaries working around him for 24 hours. But the point that Mheshimiwa has raised here, saying that, the chairman has issued a statement. The statement has been contradicted by his legal team or his legal expert. The legal expert says that the people who purport to be working for IEBC are not known to us. Okay? So let us not sensationalize this issue. We are talking about a serious matter. We should remember what happened to this country in 2007. We do not want a repeat of such an incident again. What, as Wakili has said, Chebukati and team, for any elections to be considered to be free, fair, transparent, verifiable, the systems must be transparent. The level of transparency, there should be no smoke around that area of transparency. That the whole process, the whole management, the whole infrastructure must be secure. And everything they do must be accountable. Now, for my good friend, my village mate, Chebukati, to run this institution, I feel as a personal property, is absurd, is unfortunate, and it must be taken to account. He is running that institution courtesy of Kenyans. It does not belong to him. It is not his personal property. And they should be reminded that should anything go wrong, he'll be held to account. Now, finally, even in well-developed democracies, America, China, Russia, okay, maybe not even Russia, but advanced economies.
Right.
You do such a thing in China, I doubt whether you'll come back home breathing. You will be delivered back in a metal box. Okay? So we cannot, this is a sovereign state. If you look at Mheshimiwa, who is a legislator, knows very well that the first thing in our constitution is about being sovereign. We are sovereign. And anything that will threaten the security of this country cannot be taken for granted. So if DCI had intelligence that there's something that can interrupt the entire system of this country, I mean, he could have been held to account if action was taken. I can't sit and say that maybe he didn't have a court order, but I can assure you, court order or no court order, anything that will disrupt the entire nation, action must be taken immediately. Other things can
But
follow.
should they treat us to this moment of uncertainty that it's not so clear? And I mean, yesterday, if you looked at the papers, one of the biggest questions that was being asked is just who is telling us the truth?
No, you see,
IEBC or DCI?
You see, there are questions that Chebukati must answer. Number one, if I was to ask him, why did the Venezuelans, who are foreigners, they are not Kenyans, they are coming to a foreign land, They must abide by our laws. Why did they declare public property? Because that property has been procured by public funds. Who gave them authority to declare them as their personal effects? Where did they get the authority from? They must answer that question. Or Chebukati must answer that this is private luggage. That is public property. Sensitive material. Number 2, why was that material being transferred to a private residence? This is not a piece of cake or chocolate that you've come with from Venezuela that you are taking to somebody's house. Number 3, how come it's only the chairman and the CEO who are privy to this arrangement, this information? Fourthly, as my good friend Okilia said, this is a sensitive matter. There is laid down protocol on how materials relating to election must be handled. Who gave Chebukati and the CEO authority to override that protocol? That is actually documented. And I must say that when the Chief Justice said, okay, you know, elections about Kenyans, elections come and go, can we sit down and agree on how we can collaborate to ensure that the elections are held smoothly, they are free and fair? The man took off because a lone ranger. The other thing, and Wakili has alluded to this fact, is that how come the materials, because they are not denying, Chebukati not denying that rolls have been found. The rolls are only affecting 2 areas, 2 regions, Rift Valley and Central Province. And finally, the invitation letters to the purported vendors, purported vendors, because they're not vendors, because already senior members of staff at IEBC are saying these guys are not known, these are strangers. How did an invitation or invitation letters to some foreigners come from a private citizen? Who gave that private citizen authority to write on behalf of IEBC? Those are weighty matters. They say they are working with those are weighty matters. No, those are weighty matters that Chebukati and the CEO must answer, because they are not acting on their own. This is not a piece of cake. This is private. This is these materials. Everything that is procured by the taxpayer belongs to the taxpayer. Right. It does not belong to Chebukati and the CEO. So those are hard questions that Mr. Wafula Chebukati and the CEO must answer. And you see, we saw this, it's a replay of 2007, for those of you who are there. I was in the NAF Center at KSCC, where the commission was divided. Okay? You have some commissioners, you know, aligned to another team, and you saw the outcome. Let me say, and I must tell my brother, Wafula Chebukati, poorly organized elections deliver bad leadership, goes against the will of people, and ultimately will have chaos.
If we're to protect your vote, and perhaps to sum it up, you know, at this very moment, before we come to you, Akili, don't you think that it is important that these questions are answered, that it bequeaths the IEBC and the DCI to come out clean on these questions, because we are all looking forward to a free and fair process without politicizing it, without viewing it as though there's an involvement of the state? Don't you think it is important that these questions are answered?
Then, first and foremost, the wrong foot in this particular investigation is purely to politicize this particular matter from the first event. Because investigation does not mean you must politicize this kind of process.
Even though we agree that it's politics at play.
Of course.
And I mean, if there's a side that is politicizing this the most,
and
it's Kenya Kwanza.
And I think that, in fact, the big question here is trying to relate any mischievous of IBC, connect them to Kenya Kwanza. Because immediately the DCI striked to the offices of Deputy President office. That tells you that actually there was some, between the lines, there was something wrong. And there was a serious suspect that actually there is something wrong going between the lines. To me, I believe that in fact Chebukati is accountable to the process he's handling, because this is a very serious matter of an election, An election will require an overboard, and it requires a lot of maturity. Because this is a nation which can take a strike of a day to be forgotten. So we don't want to get back to those kind of 2007 scenarios where this country almost moved to fire. But we cannot try to politicize at these 14 days remaining where the process has been there all through. And I think most of the materials are already in the country, which has been procured outside. And this small case becomes a monster and a very big matter that we have a serious suspect that there is a rigging in the process.
Just how small is this matter, Mheshimiwa? Allow us to take a short break. And perhaps again, while I thought that we're going to close on this one, I think we want to ask just how small is this matter? And when we're saying that all this material is in the country, the other day you had the IEBC being questioned as to why it is that we're having this, material getting into the country. Some of the officials have no idea. This has not been gazetted, and all these conversations revolving around that. Just how well set is the IEBC for the election after this break?
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap.
I like the way my brother here, is responding with a lot of vigor. But that cannot still wish away the facts. Facts remain facts. And before you see, no, let's have some
before he moved.
Let's have some
actually, as we moved to the break, actually you cut me short. Yes, allow me to finish
so that you can respond proper. All right, proceed.
Yes, yes, and my position is Linda. First and foremost, as Kenyans, we must trust our commissions.
Yeah.
This is a commission which has been set by the laws of this country. And I can tell you, reader, we cannot expect angels to come and hold elections on our behalf, or we borrow foreigners to come and stand for these particular chances when we have our homegrowns. Therefore, we must be capable of respecting our homegrowns. Number two.
You think we have not respected IEBC enough, yeah?
No,
Or
the way we are
have...
castigating it,
yes,
it's like it is a monster.
Yeah.
Yes, it is not like a commission that we have set ourselves. Yes, we have commissioners in this particular commission, and I have not heard from them castigating their chairman. If there is a boiling issue within that particular kitchen, then we could have heard from the other commissioners saying we have no trust, we have no confidence with the chairman.
Well, 2017 they said so, and really nothing much happened. Let's just allow Mheshimiwa briefly so that our
yes,
can
so
also
at this
something.
particular juncture, I am saying we have only 13 days to go.
It is
the manner in which we are tainting man to this commission, it's like we are not ready to accept any result that this commission will come out with. And what do we do? Then if we are not in that particular trust to it, then we do the needful within the 30 days and decide whether to go for election or not.
Wow.
Mheshimiwa. You see, I'm happy my good old friend is talking about respecting institutions. And when earlier on he was castigating the DCI, that was not an institution. So, okay. I mean, don't double speak. If you are to speak, speak from one tongue, not two tongues. So, and I also believe in respecting the rule of law, as respecting the institutions that we have. But where they fail, they must be put to account, they must be put to check. Now, two quick points, because he talked about the transnational office, saying that that was the DP's office. I have read somewhere they are saying that it is a former office. Former office.
Yes.
So it has nothing to do with DP. So as to why my friend Gakwe is boiling, only he knows.
And all of them actually.
Now, there are one thing that we must ask ourselves. When DCI raided that office, was anything found? Were servers found relating to our elections?
The matter at hand, yeah.
Were any materials are found there? Excuse me.
Fine, you can take the water.
Was anything found in that office that was raided? That is the biggest question. That is the elephant in the room.
Right.
And then finally, because he's a lawmaker, Wakili and myself, we are not. He knows, he should be reminded that when you enter any jurisdiction with anything, even just plants, and you don't declare, it's a very sensitive matter, it's very serious. In this case, these fellows entered our soil, the Kenyan jurisdiction, and failed to declare some items. Yeah. Those items, according to the law, should have been classified. Okay? So they cannot come to Africa or come to Kenya just because they're from I don't know which country and think that this is a washroom. This is a sovereign state governed by a constitution, and we abide by the rules of this nation. So, sorry, if they thought that this is the Africa of yesterday, they must be reminded that we are independent and we are sovereign. This is a sovereign state. Okay. In fact, if I was in charge of internal security, I would not just have deported, I would have locked them up.
And we get to know their fate today.
They'll be locked up.
Yes, will they? Or they will
should have
be
been locked
deported?
up. Why are they roaming and freely?
That is how we get to know.
They should be behind bars.
And I mean, they say
attempt that in the US or in China.
You will be behind bars.
You will come back in a metal box.
Okay, let's wait and see.
Linda, there's something that you have talked about, and Mheshimiwa Gakuya here was trying to downplay the whole of this issue. Two things. One is that if this was a small matter, IEBC would not have issued a statement at 2 a.m. and went ahead to pay for a full-page response purported to be an update on the nation, update to the nation on deployment of technology in the 2022 general election.
This was just to clear doubts that was created.
That's what we're saying. It is not a small matter. If it was a small matter, they would have swept it under the carpet and ignored they ignored the nation when the calls were made. But what I'm saying is election is one of the most critical, and I would say like the critical bit of this election. An election, technology cuts across 3 sectors of this election. One is what we saw as the biometric registration. Technology had to be involved. 2, identification of voters will be done through KIMS kit, and you know that's a matter, that's technology. And 4, transmission of the results will be done through technology. We all remember in 2017 what happened. Yeah? That when the Supreme Court raised issues about the elections that were transmitted and the credibility of those elections, yeah, and that the election was the entire process, yeah, it came to the conclusion that that election was not verifiable. And that's what we are saying, that we cannot allow anybody to mess up with the issue of technology in these elections. It's a critical aspect. And that's why we are asking, is there a case where that this company that we had, because I remember there was was it 2-3 weeks ago, when Chebukati and Marjan sat down with the media houses, the journalists. And I remember one question that was put to Marjan about Smartmatic, yeah, this company, and how it has botched elections in 3 other African countries. And his response was, I relied on a report from the tender committee. They did due diligence. And then you have reports emerging that there might be, I'm not saying that there is, that there might be a link between Marjan, whatever that you are called as the local the local what, the local contact, that is a seamless company, whatever it is being called, and also some politicians, right? So you ask yourself at this point, since the mother company that is Smartmatic that has gone silent on whether these guys, these Jose and Gustavo are their staff, why is it that apart from this Abdusalam or Mohammed, the guy that is being mentioned, why is it that there are other characters that are being mentioned around there, some shadowy characters that are being mentioned that are related to this company? And those are the doubts that Chebukati has to clear. And until those they are cleared, we will all be on his neck. We owe it, he owes us an election, and a proper election for that matter. And so, and we're not going to buy whatever Mheshimiwa Gakuya is telling us, that we downplay these issues. Those are critical issues to this election. And the focus will be on IEBC from now henceforth. Any breach, lazima imulikwe.
Let me just top up what my brother said. You know, I also watched that video where Marjan was responding to questions that were posed by this journalists, and I must say that these are the guys that should be honored, because he asked very tough questions and he got 0 answer. Now, when you say as a CEO you relied on a report done by procurement, does he know that we still hold you accountable as the head of that institution? You can't pass the buck. The buck actually ends at your desk. So we're going to hold him accountable whether he likes it or not. Now, then the response, I mean, I just took a quick read through what the chairman, Wafula Chebukati, said. He's talked about how they procured this system, how they went, how they did blah, blah, and so on and so forth. The point was, this country has resources. From where they are procuring, I would want him to tell Kenyans whether indeed because he does not have internal capacity to carry out due diligence. He has no internal capacity. We have the National Intelligence Services. Did he even bother to ask them to cross-check the information that were given? I doubt. Otherwise, they would have come back with a very poor report saying that these guys, their system failed in Venezuela, in Philippines, in Uganda. It's a total failure. This is total fraud. In fact, I feel sorry for this chairman and the CEO. I think they have very hard questions to answer.
Well, but yes, this is not the point in time. The castigation should be who's abroad. I think the process of procurement was done a long time ago. This matter was even in the judicial challenge in court, and the matter was at the end of the verdict was made by the court of law. So if people felt that actually it was a fraud, then they should have they should have whistle blown at that particular point in time, but not at this particular moment when election is only 13 days to go.
And therefore we should wait and go through.
Yes, because if they have withdrawn a long time ago, there could be enough time to do what we call...
Does it really matter the time that the whistle is blown? Because
No.
see, if we are going to face litigations and petitions in court...
One thing, if we believe that in fact the company that actually has awarded this particular tender is incapable, then people should have come at that particular point and say, no, if it is this company which is awarded, we cannot agree, and therefore we must need to get something else. And at this particular time, the IEBC could have a room to do to proceed to a procurement. But at this particular juncture, I am asking, if really we are not in confidence with whatever result will be given by this company, so what do we do within 13 days?
Linda, let me respond to this.
Okay.
And I will say this. As Kenyans of goodwill, we will call out Chebukati, whether it is one day to the election, whether it is the election day, when it's the day for the announcement of those elections. If there are any questions that arise, Mheshimiwa can take that to the bank.
But don't you think he has a valid point when he says, well, if we all have a general feeling that the procedure is bound to be flawed based on how we have seen, IEBC preparing, then perhaps we should get to court and say, well, moving forward, we might not need to have an election, or it has to be there anyway.
I don't think it is necessary to do that. Or what we are saying is, as long as Chebukati tells us that they are ready to conduct those elections, let them conduct them according to the law. If there are any issues arising, those ones will be dealt with the court. But as Kenyans of goodwill, we'll call out all that he does that is questionable any day, any time, whether it's on election day, whether it's the day after the election, whichever day it is. And building confidence, let me say this. Having confidence in IEBC as an institution is not having confidence on Marjan or even Chebukati as individuals alone. And I say this, IEBC is a commission, fully constituted commission. Those decisions are collegiate decisions, right? If at all you're going to have confidence in them, let them show us that they are doing the right thing. Yes. We will not turn a blind eye simply because we are confident in a state organ.
Gentlemen.
And I'm sure they did that. The Chebukati is only a chairman in this particular commission, and at least as the chairman, I think he has a duty to speak on behalf of the commission. But I have said here that if the whole commission feels that whatever is cooking inside is totally not well, then they should tell Kenyans. Because actually we are not fixing them anywhere. They have what we call the independence as a commission to stand firm and say, whatever is cooking here, we are not comfortable with whatever the chairman is doing and his few number of team. But if it's a whole team of commission working together, then let us challenge the commission as a commission.
There you go. Let's shelve this one, Mheshimiwa, unless there's something you'd want to top up to it, but I'm sure this we can speak of till the cows come back home. We can only hope that we get at least a free and fair process in terms of an election. And this is not unique to Kenya. We have seen a majority of African countries. Most of the times when they're headed to the election, they'll tell you they don't have confidence with the electioneering body or the body that is supposed to oversee the process. And so we can only wait to see the debate. All of a sudden, it's turning out to be very, very an important conversation. We have seen Deputy President William Ruto reminding the Right Honorable Raila Odinga that if you do not have an agenda for the people of Kenya, at least come debate with me and tell them what TLL and TVIM is. Perhaps a valid point. And Honorable Kisia, just how critical would it be for these two individuals, or the four of them, to attain today's debate?
Linda, William is my friend, and I feel sorry when he trivializes a very important matter, asking his very worthy competitor, who he is likely in a few days start calling His Excellency the President. Ask him to come and explain things that don't make sense. In a few days he may have to bow. So let me say this: debates are good, particularly in jurisdictions where democracy is thriving, where democracy has really developed. Our democracy is still developing. And in my personal view, and I've said this before, that I don't think we've got to a level where a debate will change anything.
Okay.
We will not go to that level. Okay? Because what determines an election in this country? Number one is the issue of tribes coming together and presenting a candidate. Number two, the political party and how popular that political party is. Number three, the resources that you can churn out to ensure that you win the elections.
Yeah.
Now, let me come to the merits of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, attending today's debate. I can tell you, from where I sit, without a shadow of a doubt, that if I know that I'm going to compete with somebody who's not worthy my salt, I'll spare myself that energy and direct that energy somewhere else.
Okay.
So, and you know, we seem to focus on resources that are human-made. Time or minutes is God-given. You cannot afford to waste any minute. So, if the team that is advising the fifth president, Raila Amolo Odinga, that it is not worth attending that debate, I see nothing wrong. Because you remember, just last week there were demands from the other side saying that, you know, we want you to frame the questions in the following fashion. Now, you have been called to debate and you want to determine the questions to be asked. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay? And in any case, if the issue of manifestos, they are already out. You know, both sides have produced a manifesto. It's campaigning. People have campaigned. So this is just basically a platform for people to showcase, and probably if there's one or two people who still can be swayed, so be it. But I don't think it's going to make any significant change in the outcome of elections.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, that you preferred presidential candidate at some point in time, pretty much earlier in the day said that he is not likely to attend the debate because he feels like, you know, the media is biased, the organizers of the event then would not give that process credibility. But today he has changed his tone. First of all, what could have informed that? Maybe such tactic would be used to get the Right Honorable Raila Odinga change his mind.
First and foremost, let us agree on one thing, that it has been the trend of the Kenyan media to settle the candidates that you wish. One, move to K24, Citizen, and so on. Well, it's only a nation which has been independent and TV47. But the four major TVs have been biased. And for the deputy president saying that actually the media has been biased to him, that is quite
what makes you say they've been biased? No. The fact that we have seen the likes of SK Macharia taking a side, which is SK Macharia. I mean, haven't they gotten coverage, you know, from these other side?
I can tell you.
Yes.
Actually,
have you gone there and you've been told you cannot articulate?
There are some even instruction from this big media that actually they should not even invite a certain side to those media.
But we all watch these stations and we have seen these sides across being invited. We have seen the manifestos, you know, being covered.
But
across.
Take from me that actually there were media that actually biased even to this particular moment, and they are setting a particular candidate.
And so why
that's okay.
why did your candidate change his mind?
Actually, I can tell you that actually this is a business, and I think that they have their own freedom to sell what they want. It is they sell any kind of product they would wish to, and that to me is not an issue. But coming to the debate, the change of mind which came at the first debate that actually was entitled for the deputies, actually, somebody who cannot change the mind is only a fool. And therefore, when time arrives and the debates were to come, then we felt that actually, as a correction, it is important to attend to the debates, because there's failure to that particular vacuum will be used to hammer and try to have a perception of otherwise. So at this particular time, that's why we have persuaded our team, including the deputy president, our running mate, and our captain, that actually to attend the debate is necessary. And that's why he's ready for the debate even today. Because first and foremost, actually, he is not driving this particular coalition alone. He's driving this coalition with others. And therefore, seeking views from others is also important. And that is why that particular arrival of attending the debate was allowed.
Do you think it would be bad for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga not to attend, or any other presidential candidate?
Me, what I can say, the decision is for a coalition or an individual. He's a candidate. If he feels that actually the meeting in a debate with William Ruto is not worthy to him, he should not try tainting other few elements that he cannot. There before he was interviewed by the nation, and he was very clear that actually he will attend the debate. By then, maybe he thought that the deputy president will boycott. But today that he has now sure that he's going to face with him, then he have changed the mind.
Why would you? Why would you imagine that?
I still believe that before the debate time, Raila will change his mind, and his team will just persuade him to attend the debate. Failure to that, the decision is for Kenyans, because you cannot decide for Kenyans. There are these people who call undecided, and most of the undecided actually decides after this debate. So it's upon the undecided to take their mantle after the debate. And I would say that the debate is healthy. Let the Raila team present Raila, or Raila present himself or not, because it is not mandatory.
Are you convinced that we have undecided voters? Yesterday I was trying to engage the gentleman that I had, and one of them argued, categorically that he does not believe that there are those ones that are undecided up to this very last hour, just that maybe they are not so comfortable articulating, their preferred sides.
I can tell you, even though the undecided is 2%, that's a big number.
Okay.
When you convert them to votes. Yes. So if you can win the 2%, it can close the mark.
So we agree that it's all about the undecided, and that those ones that have decided have already decided, like Mheshimiwa says.
Those really have decided. It's only like you can lose few, those who are hanging, those who are not very sure. They can be there but hanging. Then they can say, oh, I am in the bad wagon. And then you make another U-turn. At this particular point, it's a very important time, because yes, it's like when the pastor is on the podium. Okay. But before his final word, he may say, yes, Nani ameguswa avuke.
Okay, and interesting is that this is the very first time again that you get, in the campaign season, where you get contenders on the same podium to speak or to campaign, because this is also a form of campaign to the people for them to get to decide. So you weigh in as to how they talk, their posture, how they position themselves, and perhaps maybe just get those ones that are undecided, as Mheshimiwa would say, to switch sides. On this very note, Wakili, allow us to take a short break. I know you are itching to say something on this one. Yes. But it's only fair that we pay some bills and then we're back.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent. I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastic.
That's keeping hard zero effect on his popularity. None of his staunch followers, none of us in Kumera said that you are going to vote for Raila Odinga because he had a 90-minute monologue on TV alone.
Okay.
Right? Fielding questions from journalists. And all I'm saying, and as has been observed, the debate is important. It is critical. It is good entertainment for all of us. It is good for us to argue about our candidates. It will give us fodder for the next few days as we count down about how our candidates performed. But I don't think it's a do or die situation for any candidate. And I remember when Dr. Matsanga questioned the format of these of the debate and saying that if you're going to treat all presidential candidates, we need to treat them, all of them equally, and have them, all of them, on one platform without favoring any of them. But I will say this, we've had so much rhetoric from the UDA side, especially from His Excellency the Deputy President, saying, you know, at times, respect is important, even if you are running against a candidate. There are some utterances that are outright disrespectful. For example, when he says that that Raila should come and explain what Tialala, T-beam means, all that. He should also come and tell us whatever he talks about Kitendawili and all that, and all the silly rhetoric that he talks about. But that aside, what I'm saying is that you have a sense of false confidence that is coming from the UDA side because of the average performance of Rigathi Gachagua at the running mates debate. That is the only thing that is exciting them.
Okay.
Nothing much. And one thing that they know right now, you are dealing with a very young and energetic public speaker in the name of the DP, against a more seasoned and I would say a more collected and calm Raila Odinga, and not Raila Odinga of the yesteryears. Yeah, and that's the reason why you will see that all the attacks are being personalized at the person of Raila Odinga. Yeah, about his age, about his health condition, whether he can stand for 90 minutes, whether he can do all that. But what you are saying is
he can showcase.
No problem. We are saying showcasing whatever it is. Everybody launched their manifestos.
Yeah.
That debate is not going to be a relaunch of any manifesto. Yeah, people have been selling those manifestos all out there. But what they are saying is that the decision whether to attend this debate solely lies with the candidates themselves. It lies with Wahiga Maore, it lies with Wajakoya, it lies with Ruto, and it lies with His Excellency, his Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Whether he wants to attend it, well and good. If he does not want to attend, well and good. But one thing I can assure you, that of his current support base, his failure to attend that debate will not alter any of his support base. End of it. Okay. Now the question that now we arrive at is this. Do we have such a critical mass of undecided voters that are going to be swayed by the debate tonight? And to answer that question, I will ask ourselves this. Now, will these undecided voters turn up to vote? are they undecided on who they will support, or are they undecided whether they are going to vote or not? Yeah? Because you see, we lose focus at times. That these people who say that they are undecided, some of those are the ones who say I will not even vote. So the reason why they do not care about, or whether it's going to. So if they do not turn up, then nothing changes. But at the back of my mind, one thing I'm certain is that even if you give Ruto 90 minutes of monologue, none of the Raila supporters will support him simply because of that monologue.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The decision remains to Kenyans.
Right.
We cannot decide for them. We must allow them to have their take and decide after the debate. It's upon the Kenyans to decide whether the boycott of the debate is anything to cause or any single effect on Raila's candidature or not. But this panel cannot decide.
But we are Kenyans, we are also voters.
Of course, yes.
We've taken sides, and
of course,
and we know how you're going to vote.
You yourself, you know how you're going to vote, but you cannot decide for me.
We know very many Kenyans, and they link along our lines.
They cannot decide on themselves.
No, we are not thinking of them.
They cannot decide on themselves.
No, but we can persuade.
We can persuade. And this is a moment of persuasion.
This is a moment for persuasion.
The voting and the ballot belongs to an individual.
Correct.
And therefore, at the end of the day, the caster of the vote is the one to decide. The debate is very important.
My brother,
very critical. And I can tell you, reader, whether they like it or not, it will give some inputs, it will give some plus to those who attend.
At the same time, Raila will be at is it Jericho? Yeah, Social Hall.
And I wanted to ask Mheshimiwa that. Will that be of any impact anyway?
Why does he prefer to boycott the national debate and he just want to go a very skewed debate at Jericho?
Because he will be engaging at that level, and those are the voters that will be engaging with.
Yeah, let him take his route to Jericho. It's okay. Let us leave the Kenya to decide whatever the way they would like to decide.
You see, shouting horse will not help. I think what we need to do is to have persuasive skills. We must persuade the voter.
But we cannot persuade the leader to go to the debate.
Jimmy, you had your moment. We must persuade the voter that your side will deliver results desired by the Kenyan people. You know, these elections, Linda, is not about anything. These elections, I can tell you for free, it's about integrity. It's about leadership. And if your past history is so tainted in terms of integrity and leadership, I doubt whether even that undecided voter will vote for you. Because the challenges this country is facing is because we put in office characters of questionable character. Okay? High price of commodities, corruption in procurement, siphoning of public funds, outright theft of public funds for personal gain, for personal good. That is why this country is a problem. And you can see that when His Excellency, the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, was left to work on his own in the last 5 years, you can see what he has done. All the achievements in the last 10 years, 70-80% have been done in the last 5 years.
I can tell you, Leader, if there was a dismal performance, is the last 5 years of Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta.
With William Ruto, because still he's the deputy.
Of course, but what I can say, I can just exclude William Ruto, because William Ruto was totally excluded by the head of state himself.
But
from decision making.
Honorable Gakuya, President Uhuru Kenyatta has presented
Linda,
facts to us.
I agree. If dismal is that in the last 5 years, we have had less scandals. If that is his definition of dismal, then I agree with him. Because all the scandals, actually 99% of the scandals.
Can you tell us, Linda, where did we get
99%
of the 4 pillars? The 4 pillars that the government...
99% of the scandals took place in the first 5 years. So if his definition, Jimmy's definition is that the dismal performance is because that we had less scandals in the second term, I accept his definition.
And the Kemsa billionaires were created during the first 5 years of the head of state. Were not when the handshake was in place? so that you can be able to tell us now, without William Ruto, this has been working the right way. And corruption has been totally zero-rated.
Mheshimiwa Gakuya, let's talk about development. And President Uhuru Kenyatta on several occasions has articulated what his government has achieved in 10 years. And in his own analysis, he submits that, during his second term is when he's managed to achieve a lot of things. I
can tell you, we lost our dream in what we call housing.
It could have been better.
Yes, we lost our dream in food security. We lost our dream in what we call employment.
But why? But why? Because the president says that he did not tell anybody off. That you people decided that because the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has joined in, then you cannot sit in the same house with him. Yet the president did not say, Raila is coming, can you go?
But Rida, what else would you expected when you have told your deputy president should not be going to inspect the project any further?
Did he
and
tell
he had
that?
just appointed somebody by the name Matiang'i to take over. Then tells you that you have just excluded the entire package of your deputy president. So you have given him freedom to do campaign.
You see,
and so that's the reason why he hit the campaign trail early. Don't you think that is going to be an undoing? And that can be used in the court of law?
You know how the positions have been designed by the Constitution. The deputy president has no role. He can only enjoy powers delegated by the head of state. If you are not delegated job,
why should the boss not be confident enough to?
Let me
just
contribute here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a management student, Jimmy. You know that. And if the job of the second in command is just reduced to inspecting projects, I am sad for this country. I'm really sad. If that is the job description of the second in command, to go around inspecting projects, we need to work within systems and structures. This was started by my favorite president, Emilio Mwai Kibaki. Okay, where he had a full team, fully-fledged ministry that dealt with performance, contracting, management, evaluation, and monitoring. During President Uhuru's tenure, he came up with Presidential Delivery Unit. Now, the job that Mheshimiwa Gakuya wants our second in command to do, if I was given that job, I was told, you are second in command in the entire republic. And I'm told your job is to go around like a clerk inspecting projects. I will refuse that job. I will resign the following day and tell my boss, please, I didn't go to school to come and do these simple jobs. I went to school to do serious job, to talk about policy, to talk about the bigger picture, to look at, to review the manifestos, to receive reports from the people we've employed, to look for resources to develop this country. But for heaven's sake, if I'm reduced to clerical duties of going around ticking, I feel sad for this country.
Is that not allow me just interject from what Kizia has just analyzed. And it is not only that particular simple job of inspecting the project. The deputy president has been delegated a lot of work to do, including going around inspecting those projects. But let me tell you, when his hands were tired and somebody else was put in place to do the needful, then what else would you?
Constitutionally speaking, the executive order number one.
And Linda, can I tell you, we are not coming from universe. We have been always here. And we know what has been cooking. And we know when the rain started beating us. And when the relationship between the deputy president and his boss started. And the manner in which the relationship could not work any longer. Yes, but people have been expecting that the best way or the good thing for William Ruto to do is to resign. No, that particular position is a constitutional position. It's not an individual roadside.
Would it be misplaced to argue that then the DP, while that is a constitutional position that he sits in, is again just picking or getting money from the people without really delivering anything for them, and that would otherwise, again, as per the Constitution, be against the rights and the needs of the people of Kenya. If we are to talk about public interest, then someone is pocketing money from the public without doing anything to them. Is that really proper?
It is improper, and I'll say this. Basically, what is happening right now, we have a ghost worker. A ghost worker who enjoys government security, who enjoys tenure of security in office, who enjoys all the perks that come with government, stays in government property and all that. His vehicles are fueled even with the high cost of the fuel with the taxpayers' money. A person who Kenyans do not get value for their money. Basically, that's it. And we even know under the is it a saga, yeah, that it is even it's a corruption offense for when you do not receive value for the money as a public entity. But that aside, I'll say this, that the deputy president abdicated duty way back in 2013, and we have to be honest with ourselves. 2017 or 2018, after the handshake, was just a manifestation of what was happening. And I would say this with a lot of confidence, that by abdicating duty in 2013, this is what he did. He started campaigning for his current bid, his current 2022 bid in 2013. And that's the reason why you hear the likes of Mheshimiwa Gakuya complaining that his main work, which was to go around, quote unquote, inspecting projects, was halted. He didn't inspect projects. He went around going to churches. Those are the projects that he inspected, campaigning there. He went around launching white elephants and ghost projects, yeah, so that you have all those plagues showing that he's the one, and he would use that as the basis for his campaigns. He went there and creating networks for himself. He wasn't even working for government. So when he starts saying that all these plans are the ones they put in place, those are things that he wanted to showcase for his current vote, for his current candidature. But what we are saying is simple, is this, that since 2018, we have had relative calm, we have had relative peace. The president has had chance and opportunity to do his projects.
At the
all
expense
of them.
Of others?
Not at the expense of others.
You agree that the DP enjoys quite some good support.
He does.
Then are disgruntled. Then are we building a peaceful Kenya?
But what we know, let me tell you, that the development project of the president in this second term is that the development has been across the country. That is one thing you cannot take away from him. Be it in coast, be it in the north, be it in the Mount Kenya region, be it in Nyanza, be it in Rift Valley. Across the country. Yeah? All these noise that you hear coming from the likes of Mheshimiwa here is because he, quote unquote, or separated from the DP, and therefore the DP does not have an avenue to do what? To campaign, or a platform to campaign from. You will hear the DP one day talking about tumejenga mabarabara, tumejenga reli, and all that. Yeah? He wants to take credit for those things that he knows that directly it was done during, quote unquote, when they were together. Yeah? But after that, what they want to focus on is that the small issues that have bedeviled us after 2018, now those are the ones now they want to focus on and show us that this government has been a failure. But I can tell you, if there was no handshake, and if the current conditions were the same, the person who would be defending this track record would be Mheshimiwa Gakuya here, would be the DP, the entire group, because they will have the support of government. The only thing is, now that the person who's the favorite of the president is Right Honorable Raila Odinga, so they have to fight back. And essentially that's what they are doing, nothing more.
Well, Rita, yes. Let me just make a very comment out of that, interject out of that. And I just want to remind Wakili very clearly. If Uhuru Kenyatta was very sure, and he had his intelligence report, that from 2013, his deputy job was just to start to campaign for his 2022 election. What convinced him to still pick him as his running mate come 2017? Later was out there, anybody else out there, he could have picked another candidate. Yeah. Was he forced to retain his deputy?
No.
Then one cannot stand here to tell us that all this shenanigans was going around, and still he was comfortable to appoint him as his running
deputy. All right.
I can tell with a very clear words, it was just a political betrayal.
Okay. You see, politics is about interest, and Gakuya knows very well. That's why he's on the other side. And he knows that probably being the other side, like that factor, politics is about interest. At that time, the interest of the current president maybe would have been, let me work with this gentleman to achieve certain results. Okay? Now, beyond that one, there are other results to be achieved. You need peace, you need stability in this country. Who can give you that moment? who can ensure that there's peace and stability without disrupting the economy.
So you use
without
exam?
disrupting. No,
You just use exam?
I said
And pick what you think is
interest.
Politics about interest.
Okay.
Mr. Gakuya, Mheshimiwa, is about interest. So the interest of the president in the last 5 years, which was his final term, was to ensure that there's peace, stability, tranquility, so that this country can move together in one direction, and to enable him achieve his legacy. Now, these are facts again, and you cannot run away from facts.
Do you think he has now...
You cannot run away from facts.
Do you think now he has achieved the legacy?
You cannot run away from facts. The facts are that during the first term of this Jubilee administration, which was party two, 99% of the corruption took place at that time. If there's any corruption at the second place, it's a spillover, which is 1%. So which one is better? 99% in terms of failure, or 1% in terms of failure?
Okay.
Read
Parting shots.
corruption is corruption. It does not matter whether it was a corruption of a single nindo or whether it's a mega.
I said about which one is better.
No, there's nothing better.
Which one is better?
They all are bad, but which
they are
is
bad. Which one is better?
Yes.
Which is the lesser evil they ask?
Yes, nothing better.
It was an improvement.
Let's close it. Let's close it, gentlemen. Your parting shots.
My parting shot is this. I'm looking forward to the presidential debate. So something tells me that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga will attend. I have a gut feeling about it.
Right.
Even if he does not attend, I hope to watch him at Jericho Social Hall.
Well, where from? Because you see, we were asking where, online. Those are some of the questions that are big. Because you see, all these televisions will be at the level of the debate. So then, how do we?
There's mainstream media.
There's social media.
The other means of media.
All right, I agree.
And even physical presence will also be there.
All right.
So we are hoping we'll get direction by the time it gets to 5. And I also wish Wajakoya all the best. Yes.
We hope he attends as well. We really hope he attends as well. Okay. You won't wish Wahiga Maore all the best?
Next time.
Okay.
Yes.
Proceed.
Rida, what I would just ask our fellow Kenyans is just to be keen, watch the debate. The debate will be held, the debate. Let them cast their decision, because we are now just narrowing to the D-Day. And I think it's very important to share with our candidates, our presidential candidates, what they have for us. Not necessarily that we have the manifestos with us. We just want to know, because actually there are those who have set the exam, and we just want to see the performance of the students.
Okay.
Well, Linda, thank you. Always a pleasure being on this station.
It's always
but I
good
must
to
say
have
that
you.
these elections, now forget about the others that we've had before, because we've had many, will be about integrity and leadership.
Yeah.
Who can you trust to carry on the vision? Because Vision 2030, which has been rolled out by His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta, was not his vision.
Yeah.
It was a vision of the Kenyan people. So who among the two is saying that you people as Kenyans have a vision, me as Raila Amolo Odinga, I'm coming to carry on with the vision, vis-a-vis the other who is saying, I want to start from zero. You know, in management, it's very dangerous when you take the zero approach to management. Zero approach. Instead of starting from, on a scale of 10, instead of starting from 5, you'll start from 0. So by the time your time is out, you've not achieved anything. Yeah. In fact, you are minus. Finally, I want to repeat that poorly organized elections deliver bad leadership, goes against of the will of the people, and will lead to chaos. Chebukati, take your moment.
All right.
Not forgetting that we had the same candidate during Kibaki's time when he said kazi ziendelee, kazi ianze. So usituambie saa hii ndio unakuja kusema ati the vision, the person to
see, you know, you change tact, Mheshimiwa. When you realize that what you were saying was not the right thing, don't you think it's proper to change tact?
Is I want to say that who doesn't change?
I mean, their mind.
Actually, we have a memory of what happened after kazi ianze.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honorable James Gakuya, member